Is it possible to apply for spouse visa while we are both outside the UK? The answer is yes, you can apply for UK spouse visa where the British citizens and the spouse who is non-British can apply for UK spouse visa. Hi, this video I want to cover questions you have dropped around spouse visa in some of my previous YouTube videos. So thank you for dropping those questions and let me address those questions one at a time. There might be around 5 questions to be answered in this video. Question number 1 is, I have ILR and now going to apply for UK family visa and need to submit accommodation evidence. I'm planning to rent a bigger property to avoid overcrowding. Given application review may take from 4 to 12 weeks, is it enough to have a tenancy agreement with plan to move in a month or two before applying for my family visa, or I already have to be in the property at the moment of application? Oh, really good question. So and very sensible question. So what this person is asking, I have a property, I might need a bigger property to avoid overcrowding at the time of application. So again, make it logical, right? Think logical. Most of the UK immigration rules, most of them, not all of them, are logical. So what Home Office want is by the time they arrive in the UK, you have to have adequate accommodation for them. So for an example, you are on 1st of July, when you are making application, you anticipate them to be here in the UK, let's say on 1st of August. So you have to have a tenancy agreement in place to accommodate your family with effect from 1st of August. So that will probably avoid you paying a more rent for 1 month. So yeah, that's perfectly fine. You have to have adequate accommodation in place on the day or the date your family arrive in the UK. So that's answer to your question 1. I want to touch a little bit more on this question and let's talk about the evidence you may need to provide to prove adequate accommodation. There are a lot of advisors, they say, oh, you need property inspection report, and a lot of pressure or probably from the advisor or from third parties, you need that, but that's not mandatory. I want to say that's not mandatory to have a property inspection report, but you still need to provide reasonable explanation and evidence, corroborating evidence of adequate accommodation. What could that be at no cost? Let me explain. Number 1 is definitely tenancy agreement. But most of the tenancy, if you are renting a property, most of the tenancy agreement does not cover the description of the property. So my suggestion is get a letter from the landlord explaining the description of the property. How big is the property? Are there 3 bedroom, 4 bedroom, kitchen, bathroom? Just get the description of the property. If possible, also the size of rooms if possible, or letter from your estate agent or letting agent. If they can provide on the letterhead paper, that'd be great. I also advise a step forward, which doesn't cost anything, is to take a picture of the property and add those pictures into your application. So if you do that, that'd be great. But let's say, what if you own the property? If you own the property, what could be the independent evidence to prove? I would suggest you can get an independent letter from the estate agent or from land registry if possible. If not, then you might have to do a property inspection report, because if you own the property, there isn't much you can provide as independent evidence. You can add photograph, that might work, to prove adequate accommodation for yourself and your family when they arrive in the UK. Hope that helps. Number 1. Number 2 question is, my wife is British citizen, we both have a full-time job and we live in and work in Bermuda. Is it possible to apply UK spouse visa while we both are outside the UK and our source of income is from Bermuda? So okay, let's do one question at a time. They have another follow-up question too in the same question, but let's do one question. Is it possible to apply for spouse visa while we are both outside the UK? The answer is yes, you can apply for UK spouse visa where the British citizens and the spouse who is non-British can apply for UK spouse visa. while we are both outside the UK. So when you submit spouse visa application from abroad, the basis of application is you both intend to return to the UK with a view of living for foreseeable future in the UK, and this is why you are now applying for your non-British spouse to join and accompany you while you are returning home, which is your homeland, the UK. And that's the basis of your entry clearance application. That's why and how you can submit a UK spouse visa application from abroad, though both of are abroad. Can you rely on this income? So if you are abroad, you are a British citizen, you want to bring your spouse to the UK, and your overseas income is equivalent to £18,600 per year, and if you have corroborating evidence such as payslip, bank statement, letter from employer, and while you are returning to the UK, you have to have a job offer to start the job in the UK equivalent £18,600 per annum. If you have that job contract, you can then rely on overseas earning in combination of a letter from the employer in the UK with a job offer to start the job, which is equivalent to 18,600, then yes, you can rely on that earning too. If you are self-employed, it becomes much more complex. Please do seek professional legal advice. Whatever I say in this video must not be construed as a professional legal advice. You got to arrange a professional consultation with a professional lawyer to seek a professional legal advice. So that's my disclaimer. The follow-up question they have is, during the first 2.9 years, normally it's 33 months, how many days or month is compulsory to remain in the UK? So that's very interesting question. There is no hard and fast requirement about the absences from the UK while someone is on a spouse visa. But remember, the basis is your intention is to live in the UK and to make the UK as your home. But if there is a requirement which is related to your job role where you might have to travel, it's perfectly fine, but your home is in the UK. That's your base, and this is why you're applying for a UK spouse visa for your non-settled, non-British spouse to join you, and you are a British citizen. So there is no hard and fast requirement around absences, but again, the intention is to live in the UK. How do you prove intention? There is again no hard and fast requirement. But let's say you ended up staying out of 33 months, 30 months outside the UK, then it's very hard to believe that the UK is your main home. That makes sense. But if you stay half of the time outside the UK, half of the time in the UK, but you provide very strong evidence, why do you need to do that? What do you consider as your main home? Where are you paying your taxes? Where is your main home? And with some corroborating explanation and evidence, we might be able to make and submit a further application for extension of spouse visa and or permanent residency after 5 years. The third question I have is, my spouse is British, he's a non-salaried, in non-salaried employment, he has a 20 hours contract, but he's getting overtime. Can we rely on these earnings? It's perfectly fine. Yes, you can rely on this earning. Non-salaried employment is perfectly fine, but you need to provide 12 months pay slips, 12 months bank statement, and the total of previous 12 months should be minimum 18,600 with the same source or multiple source if it's a non-salaried income, and the last month of the salary should be prorated to 18,600. Then yes, that would most likely qualify you for the financial requirement of Appendix FM. The next question is, hey, very good video, thank you indeed. Can you answer a question? Me and my partner both living in Iran. I am a British citizen, have British passport. Can I remain in Iran while applying for my wife's visa, wait for the visa to get issued, and then go to the UK together? Absolutely, yes. It's perfectly fine. You and your wife can remain abroad, in this case Iran, submit spouse visa application. Once you get the spouse visa approved, then you both can travel to the UK. I've covered this subject a little bit in the previous question. So the basis of your application is an intention to return to the UK, both of you together, to live in the UK for foreseeable future, and that's why you're applying for a spouse visa. So yes, you can apply from abroad. You don't need to be in the UK as a British citizen to apply for spouse visa. If you like the content, by the way, the content I'm creating, please press the like button now or subscribe to my channel so we can then share this knowledge at no extra cost to you or to me, to many thousand people likewise yourself. So thank you for watching.